And it's Friday. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love Fridays. Not that it's doing me much good with the coronavirus out these days, but so can you hear me meow? How about if can you see me meow? There we go. I'm having so much fun. This streaming software is actually amazingly powerful if one becomes patient enough to actually learn some of the features. And after a couple of weeks of this, I'm starting to finally figure a couple of pieces out and how to make all this work. So, hey, Miss Sandy? Yes. Can you tell them to be quiet? I'm hearing bang bangs. Yes, we're having a sewer line taken out here in Meyers. They're literally digging a tunnel completely underneath my house, a 3x3 foot tunnel, and I can hear these guys digging down here, and they're trying to be quiet while I'm presenting, but it doesn't always work quite the way I want. Anyway, welcome to the Mike Meyers Total Seminars Ask Me Anything stream. I put on this stream every 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time. And probably the way things are going, it'll be Central Standard Time eventually. Anyway, the goal for this is to give those of us who are isolating because, or social distancing, or whatever word you want to use, because of the coronavirus, an opportunity to ask questions, talk about stuff, and for me to give some insights of what's happening right now. Everybody's interested about the online testing. I have more information, which I'll be sharing with you about that. We've got a few questions lined up, but we can always have more as needs arrive. We can add questions ourselves. But anyway, first of all, I want to let you guys know that just because you are kind enough to show up for this session, you get 50% off all of the Total Seminars, practice questions, and simulations. So just look underneath here, and you'll see there's a link and a code for you to use. Just go on in there, and everything on the Total Seminars site in terms of practice questions and simulations is 50% off. Also, if you are an instructor with an active class, we're pretty much opening the doors for you and pretty much giving it all away depending on what your needs are. In order to take advantage of this, you're going to have to contact Kathy Yale, and her email is showing up right down there. It's kathy.y@totalsem.com, and send Kathy an email. And she'll get in contact with you. Don't try to be clever. Kathy's pretty good at knowing the fakes, but good luck trying. She always laughs when people try to do that. In fact, in some situations, we're even capable of providing free ebooks. This is through McGraw-Hill, and it's kind of hard to do, so I don't want to make everybody think, oh yeah, if I'm a teacher, I get free ebooks. Nope, that is not the case. McGraw-Hill makes you jump through some fairly aggressive hoops, but do be aware that that is out there for you. Kathy Yale can give you all the details on that. So with that in mind, let's keep in mind, again, we're open for all kinds of questions. Let's avoid the religion and politics questions. I was trying to say avoid the COVID virus questions, but everybody wants to talk about it to some extent, so we won't stop those dead in their tracks. I'm actually here in my house. This is my Meyers here, and it went from being a sunny day to now it's a cloudy day here in Houston, Texas. Yeah, and it's only, hold on, let me check the temperature. It is 80 degrees here in beautiful downtown Houston, Texas. It's bing bong, 2 minutes past the big hour of 2 o'clock, 4 minutes. And so let's go ahead and dive in. So what I want to do first of all is talk about, we have some, we didn't do this, but we got some from the, it's from Reddit, so, but Reddit is a pretty good source for some of the CompTIA stuff. Anyway, I actually have people who've taken the exam, and let me read what we heard about. So this is a person who took the Network Plus remotely and passed, and this is just some of the insight. As far as remote testing goes, the only thing I didn't like was not being able to physically write anything down. Instead, you have to use the online whiteboard, which is pretty terrible. Now, okay, we heard about this online whiteboard. There was a text box feature within the whiteboard which was useful, not the same as a pen and paper, but it helped. So there's a little insight there. Now this is interesting. I didn't speak to my proctor once, nor do you see them at all during the exam. Okay, that doesn't surprise me. I didn't think that the proctor would want a camera on them. There is a live window streaming you, and it is present throughout the exam. So I guess you can see yourself through a streaming window. Besides those two things, it's the exact same thing as being at a testing center. So that's interesting. We're going to find out. I cannot take the test on Monday. It seems like I've allowed myself to have too many conflicts. So I am not able to take the exam. I'm hoping some of the guys at Total will be able to take some exam so that we can get a little more info on how does it work and all that. But nobody at Total Seminars I'm aware of has scheduled for an exam other than me, and I canceled. So we'll get around to that as soon as we can. But anyway, so the online testing definitely looks like it's kicked in and doing real well. So I'm happy. All right. So got a few questions today. One question I actually saw, and I saw Dave Rush already started on that one. Philip De Chamoy. Philip, you ask good questions, man. Why can't the host portion use all zeros or all ones? And here Dave Rush answers exactly right. As far as the all ones answer, putting all ones in the host bit makes it a broadcast. You can actually see that. So let me pull up a command line on my system here. Now, if you take a look here, I'm going to do a good old route print. Oops. My space bar is being persnickety. Route print, there we go. And let's just do this for the IPv4 portion. So if you look at the routing table on this system right here, you'll see one in particular. You see it says 172.18.13.255. So my, hang on a minute. So the network ID that I have for this little temporary network here is 172.18.13 WAC 24. So 172.18.13.255 is actually just a broadcast for the LAN itself. We're just within the broadcast domain. Now, the other thing, though, I want to show you guys is that anything on, you'll see 172.18.13.0, so that's like the fifth line down. In that case, what you're looking at, and this is why we can't have zeros. Remember, the 255 is all ones. That's a broadcast. Great. Dave already covered that. But when you have a zero, what you're actually doing is you're defining the network ID. So it's not an address. And we intentionally leave all zeros in the host address as the unique identifier for the network itself. And that's why you can't have all zeros or all ones on a individual host ID. One is for the network ID itself, and the other is for broadcast. Ta-da! Okay. We had another question. Oh, okay. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, we had a question on, somebody asked rather cryptically, I didn't really understand what they were saying, and that is, on the TCP model, why do you do 4 when there are 5, or something to that extent? And the answer is well, because I'm right and I believe in something called RFCs. RFCs are documents which are the requests for commentary, which are the core of what all the internet is. And when in doubt, I go to RFCs. Now, before we say anything else, when we talk about network models, this is what we're talking about. The granddaddy of all is the OSI 7-layer model, but there are a ton of other models out there. And back, I don't even think it's the current Network Plus. I think it was one before that. They had both OSI and TCP IP models on there. It's my quick under memory. Scott Jernigan will fix me quickly if I'm wrong, but I don't think the TCP IP models are still on the exams. I still like talking about them because they're out there, but I don't believe that they're actually on the exams anymore. They've gone back to OSI. Anyway, so let's talk about why there are really 2 different kinds of TCP IP or internet models and where that all came from. So let's take a look at this. So what we have here is the classic old school OSI 7-layer model. So starting at the top, application, which is actually the application interface, which is how Microsoft Word can save to a network, for example. Presentation, sometimes data comes in a form that an application can't read inherently, so the presentation layer is a conversion layer. Probably the best example these days is PDF, which just about anybody can read. Going down from there, then we have the individual sessions. The sessions are the interconnection, the handshake between two remote hosts. That this is what defines, that gets the initial connection going. This is what makes sure it keeps going. This is where they make their disconnect and say goodbye. This is if one of them disappears, how is it handled, that kind of a thing. Going down one more is the transport layer. The transport layer is the assembly-disassembly portion of the OSI. You got to remember that when we're talking about packets, you know, an individual packet's going to be able to carry around, arguably, about 1,500 bytes. And I can show you a lot of stuff that's a lot bigger than 1,500 bytes. So you guys have had boxes delivered where it's like, you know, box 3 of 25, box 4 of 25, when you get a bunch of boxes. And that's what transport's all about. So it chops up whatever's being sent and puts identifying information within the packet itself. So when the receiver gets it, they can assemble back the Word document or the email or the video or whatever you happen to be sending back and forth. Network is, at least within the scope of the OSI, that is really where IP lives. In a classic network, we have to have some form of programmable addressability to get the data where it needs to go, to the individual hosts. And in the TCP/IP world, that's IP addresses. So keep in mind, OSI predates, arguably, TCP/IP. So there'd be other types of protocols that would go into play there, but usually we're talking about some type of addressability. And certainly for any CompTIA exam, if you hear the word IP address, where does that fit in OSI? It's that layer right there. All right. Next is data link. Data link's kind of a weird one, but it's an important one. So what happens within a network is, you know, we classically think that we have one connection to our network. Maybe it's wireless, maybe it's wired, whatever it might be. But the data link creates an interface between multiple network cards, for example, if you wanted to, and the rest of the OSI stack. The data link layer also got a dogfight outside. Barky dog day. Anyway, so the data link layer also has to deal with physical addressing. So for example, MAC addresses are traditionally tied in to the data link layer on the OSI model. And what's left? Physical, I believe? Oh yeah. So the physical layer is the easy one. The physical layer is whatever is the technology that gets ones and zeros from one NIC to another. So that could be cable, that could be coax, UTP, it can be radio waves, who cares? As long as, you know, that's the methodology which guarantees, or at least best efforts, that ones and zeros get from one system to the next. Now, the OSI model's been around for a long time. And it works great, but it has some limitations. The biggest limitation about OSI is that it was really designed for almost any kind of network there is. I mean, this worked just great on an old, you know, NetBUI, Windows for work groups running, I don't know, I can't even think of the older ArcNet or stuff like that. So if we take a look at these 4 arrows here, number one, the presentation layer begins to not make a lot of sense in most TCP/IP networks simply because applications are so sophisticated today that they can receive almost any form of data easily. Next is the session, or really almost the session and the transport. Within the world of TCP/IP, the applications themselves perform a lot of the handshaking and connection and stuff like that. So session tends not to make a lot of sense in there. Also, transport and network almost kind of fit together within the TCP/IP world because it's the IP addresses and the schemes and the routers and everything that gets stuff where we want it to go. Then the last one is data link and physical. When TCP/IP first came out, there was really a whole lot of we don't really care what happens down there. And so this tended to be ignored, and what we ended up getting was something that looked kind of like this. So application, which is the applications, transport, which is the medium, which would include the session on OSI, internet, which would include the actual connectivity, IP addressing, whatever tool sets it are to properly address the system, and then what they just called link. You're really looking at a situation where it's a bunch of programmers. They're like, well, however you connect, who cares? Good coffee. It really is coffee. All right, so anyway, but there were a couple little problems with that. Let's get back there. Okay, so this came from a RFC 1122, and it was known as the TCP/IP 4-layer model. A lot of people didn't like it. They felt that it was not complete enough. In particular, it was the link part that drove people absolutely bonkers, because when you take a look at a TCP/IP network, I mean, we see Ethernet or we see 802.11, but then there's DOSIS and there's still ATM and a lot of other technologies out there to get your data, OC3 lines, all these other kind of things that are more than internet. And so what you saw a lot of people do is they brought back the data link and physical. The goal here was to make sure people understood is that the TCP/IP really doesn't care much about the physical, but it can support just about anything. 802.11, DOSIS, DSL, Ethernet, all kinds of other stuff too. And then the data link simply acted as an interface with whatever type of MAC address would be necessary to get the data where it needed to go. So we end up calling this the TCP/IP 5-layer or the 4+1 model. There's a lot more models out there. Just go on Wikipedia and take a look and you'll get your brain blown out in terms of the number of different models that are out there. So when we originally wrote this, my big paranoia was that I want to make sure that I'm covering what CompTIA covers. So sometimes I'm trying to rub a crystal ball going, where's CompTIA thinking about this? And CompTIA tends to be fairly conservative on these types of things. And I feel that doing that 4-layer model worked well based on my experience with the exams. You might have a different opinion, but I think I did okay. So in other words, I'm right. Okay. What else we got here for questions? Hey, Scott Jernigan, are we doing the discount vouchers? I believe we are, right? I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let Scott Jernigan type something in to confirm. I see we've got zillions of questions here. Okay, I'm right at the very top, so let me take a look. Dakota Arson. Dakota Arson? This man got me to where I am now. Thanks, brother. Brandon Bowman. You passed the PenTest Plus. Congratulations, Brandon. Anyone got Discord? You may have Discord, but we're not using it here. Oh, so you can network and help each other. I'm not opposed to that idea, Moscow. Let me think about that. Well, let me rephrase that. Anybody can make a Discord. You don't need me at all. But how would I want to... Oh, CompTIA's got a Discord. You know what? Just use CompTIA's. I don't want to mess with that. Anthony Sassini, good to see you again, man. I'm Batman. Batman. Hello. Lots of hellos. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, there's TS, Terribly Sexy. There's my brother Gino. I think we learned more when Mike has technical problems. I certainly learned more. You're always like, oh my God, this thing's blowing up and I've got people waiting for me and I got to figure this stuff out. Ay, ay, ay. So I always use a standard joke at that point. I'm like, I hate computers. I don't hate computers. I just hate computers at that particular moment. Gino, weekend filled with social isolation and distancing. I'm actually going to go visit a buddy, but we're going to be working, so boring. You know, Diego, I appreciate when people tell me the AV is good. I'm always in a panic about this, and I know we're getting better at it, but it's like, does it work this time? I just move one little dial and things go kaboomy. And I'm pretty good at fixing computers. That doesn't mean I know diddly about video. I've got amazing audio, video production people who work for me, but they're far away. And other than bringing me a few care packages, I've done most of this on my own. And I'm glad to do it. It's not a problem. Moscow, hey Mike, I just want to say I'm almost done with the 1002. You have to be the first teacher that I find that's passionate about technology and made the course interesting to watch. Yep, it is fun. I like it. I love technology. I wish I could do more screwdriver stuff, opening systems and things like that, but it's a lot of software configurations. User stuff is what I'm, user stuff. Usery. I am reduced to penury. So I'm playing with a lot of different things right now. Hey, it's Len Meyers. Just so you guys know, Len Meyers is my little brother. He owes me a lot of money. Brandon, what streaming software do I use? I'm using something called OBS Studio, which is a completely freeware one. I tried some of the pay ones and didn't really see the big deal difference. I mean, this thing's pretty slick. I mean, the biggest problem we have right now is that Mike Meyers is a noob at using it, but we're adding some sophistication. Like I did that little slide thing with the OSI. I felt very excited about figuring that out. I popped up my my command line now, so I'm starting to getting some of the toys going here. Debbie Strouch, good to see you again. PC, good. Oh, and by the way, guys, we do have a giveaway today. It's going to be one of the bigger giveaways. I'm actually going to give away Never Touch Your Face during coronavirus. I'm one big itch. It's pollen in Houston, guys. I lost. Where was I going with that? Like I tell the IRS? I forgot. Oh, well, it'll come back. That stinks. Debbie Stouch, you should get a green screen. Debbie, I have one. It's laying right there. And this software supports it, and I don't know. You don't like my background? It's got drums. Drums are cool, right? A lot of paintings that need to get put back up on the wall. Oh, and Debbie, you don't know this, but these are all the books I've written, so I'm kind of proud of these. Yeah. What do we got here? Diego Medina, you just found out about sysinternals? Oh my gosh, Diego just learned about sysinternals. Holy cow. You guys don't know what sysinternals is. Well, so all you got to do is type in sysinternals. Here, let's see if I can show you what I'm doing here. All right, so I've got sysinternals, and I'm just going to do a quick search on that. Let's hope this works. Okay, and so Windows sysinternals right here. So sysinternals is like the happiest place there is. This is by a guy named Mark Rusinovich, who I've met. He's a nice guy. And he started this site I don't remember. Oh, it says right here, 1996. Okay. And he started writing all of these different groovy little utilities. And these utilities are pretty amazing. And a few of these utilities are actually part of my Cool Tools suite. I'm going to warn you right now, if you're a nerd at all, if you decide to go to this sysinternals website, be prepared to lose 2 to 3 hours of your life. It has got so many fun tools in it, and it will keep you busy for hours of wacky fun. And it is just amazing. I'm going to point out a few tools you might be interested in looking at. I mean, they're all good to some extent. I'm trying to find ones that you're going to like. Boy, he's added some even since the last time I was in here. Active Directory Explorer is fun. TCP View. TCP View is probably, in my opinion, the best tool he's got. Dang it, doesn't make it any bigger. I was hoping it would. Trying to show this to you. So TCP View is absolutely an amazing, wonderful tool for taking a look at the sessions that are going back and forth on your system. So it's kind of like Netstat, but graphical. So as connections take place, bars go green to show a new connection taking place. And as they go away, they turn yellow, then red. It's an amazing tool. This is definitely part of the Mike Meyers Cool Tools. Let's see what else we got here. Process, probably, okay, oh my goodness, auto runs. Auto runs is, it's something that should always be on a thumb drive with you. It is that powerful of a tool. Auto runs goes through everything on your system where programs can automatically start. So yeah, it's going to go to, in the registry there, in the run and run once and all that. But even little things that you don't think about, it will go through and show you every place that auto-starting programs can possibly exist. I don't know about you, but I get frustrated sometimes with where is this program coming from? Or you're getting a little command prompt that pops up and then disappears. Like, why is this happening? Now, for the record, sometimes having that command pop up and disappear is a very, very good thing. But I want to know why. And auto runs is an absolutely powerful tool. By the way, everything that Rusinovich writes is very safe. Don't be afraid to use any of these tools. So auto runs is a great one. And what else is in here? Auto runs is good. And the other one is Process Explorer. Process Explorer, yeah, it's just so frustrating. We can't get a real pretty picture of this tool up. You go just download these and run them. You're going to have a blast. Process Explorer is, well, for decades, was the only real way to look at the actual processes. A lot of times if you, ran the tools that came with Windows, I mean, you'd be able to see all the processes, but you got to remember that most processes are spawned by other processes. So you get this tree structure. So you got this process here, and if you kill this process, you might be killing an entire tree, and there might be 5 or 6 other programs that need it. And it was never a way. Windows is better now. With Windows 10, I think it's the resource monitor. Yeah, pretty sure. They do a better job of showing the tree structure for how processes spawn other processes, and it does a real good job there. The other thing that Process Explorer does really well, it doesn't fix anything, but it's cool, is you can actually see threads. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Now, obviously, you're running a billion threads a second, so it takes a snapshot of whatever happened to be at the moment you said, show me a thread. But as an instructional tool, I find that very helpful because people have a hard time wrapping their heads around threads, and I think it does a great job where I can actually show it to them. And it depends, different processors, it'll show different levels of threads. It's just absolutely amazing tool. So Process Explorer is just an absolutely wonderful one. I think there's lots of other good ones in there, and I'm not going to turn you off on anything else, but those will be the tools that you will find most interesting. So yes, thank you for bringing, who brought that up? I'm going to give him a big kiss. Diego, yeah, Diego, you're absolutely right. It's a wonderful tool. I usually mention it in at least one of my videos, certainly. I think I do it in A+. Yeah, it's a great tool. Okay, all you guys, your homework for tonight is go play with sysinternals and have fun with your system. And, I tell you they're safe, but they are still tools. And, you can destroy a car with a screwdriver if you shove it in the right spot in a car, right? So same thing here. Just think about what you're doing and be careful. All right. Yes, thank you, Scott, for putting up the specials again. Rado Kolev. Mike, I've just switched to Linux Mint because Win 7, I followed the recommended privacy settings on Win 10 laptops, and it's not Win 10 safe. Do I have any recommendations? Well, Windows 7 isn't being updated anymore, so there's a real security issue there. Are you talking about privacy as opposed to security? Win 10 has some problems and still does. The biggest challenge is most of the time when Win 10 does a big update, it will actually turn off certain security settings that you've turned on. They can be frustrating sometimes. Yeah, probably the biggest fear I ever did is the first time I ran Netstat on a Windows 10 system, and there's all this phone home stuff that's going on. It all seems to be quite good. There is no evil there, and especially, what is the Windows voice talk to thing? I forgot what it is. Shows you how often I use it. I keep wanting to say Siri. I forgot the name. No, that speaks volumes right there. A lot of stuff like that, turning stuff like that off, but they still hold a lot of the connections. I feel the Win 10 is extremely, from a security standpoint, as in terms of. Oh no, you said privacy there, TS. I'm sorry, buddy. I wouldn't go back to Win 7. Linux Mint's a great way to go. I love Linux. My only problem with Linux is, will it run the applications you need? You know, I'm real good with running Linux, and then I need to start running Team Fortress, and then all of a sudden, you know, yeah, I know Steam kind of works, but it doesn't work. So, and don't talk to me about emulators, please. I'll get a stomachache. Is Windows 10 32-bit as safe to run as Windows 10 64-bit? Dave for Shumps. I've not heard anything about Windows 10 32-bit having security issues. There was some thunk layer overflow thing, but that was years ago and long fixed. I mean, the biggest problem with running Windows 10 32-bit is you're going to have exactly 4 gigabytes of RAM, right? I mean, that's why the number one reason to jump from 32-bit to 64-bit is you can address more RAM. 2 to the 32nd power is 4 billion, 4 gigabytes. And I guess if I was actually running a legitimate 32-bit processor, but man, where are those anymore? I'm trying to think, does my Raspberry Pis even still run 32-bit? I don't think so. Yeah. There's got to be a special reason you're running 32-bit. 64-bit is the way to go. Gino, any opportunity to show off Mike's folding phone? Well, if you insist, then I'll show you. I actually lost this phone today. I talk about a panic. All right, so this is my phone. This is the Galaxy Fold. And what's cool, kind of hard to show you that. Make sure this. I'm always terrified I'm going to get a text message from a girlfriend or something. There we go. So this is just the front of the phone. This is a fully functional phone. I don't have to open this phone to do anything. I've got a ton of cameras on here. This thing takes outstanding video and photographs. Outstanding. It blows my mind how beautiful these are. Let me see if I have. Oh, okay. And then you can fold it open. Here, I'll do that again. All right. So I fold it open. Boop, 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 boop. Bing. And there you go. So I do the monochrome because I like the look. That's all it is. And it is, other than the fact that I flip my, part of, like in the old days with the old landline, old people phones, you'd have to actually go through the picking it up, or even today, you have to usually press a button. I open mine. So there's this kind of, oh, I'm on the phone, or then I close it and then I'm not on the phone. At first I found it a little irritating, but now it's a very comfortable way to do it. It also has a large interface, so it gets very tablet-like. I have trouble sleeping, so I like to listen to really long, boring documentaries on YouTube, the rise and fall of the Roman Empire or something like that. And the screen size really works very well for me, and I like it. I've had this now for a few months. I can run for almost 2 days on it, and that would include watching videos and things like that. Its batteries run forever. I'm real pleased with that. It handles wireless charging, so I've got wireless chargers laying all over the place, which I also find very convenient. I don't really have a big downside to these phones. Oh yeah, the price, $2,000, cha-ching. So yeah, I expense that out. Yeah, Total Seminar owns this phone, not me. So, but it's an absolutely amazing phone. So hopefully I'm answering the questions that you guys have on it. It's a great phone. I'm real happy with it. Yeah, the other thing was it was running Android 9, which is very frustrating because before this I had the Pixel 3 XL, which was running Android 10, and that is a big jump in operating system. If you're still running Android 9, when you go to 10, you're going to be a very happy camper. Some of the feature sets are absolutely amazing, picture-in-picture, just tool sets like that. Great stuff. And so when I bought this 5 months ago, to go back to Android 9 was a little frustrating. Samsung is notorious for not upgrading their phones very quickly, but at least in terms of the Galaxy Fold, 4 months is not that bad of a wait compared to getting a Google phone. And yeah, Android 10 is great. If you can get Android 10, get it. Thanks, Gino. I love showing off my phone, man. That's always easy for me. Oh, what giveaways? I'm giving away books today. Yeah, so we're going to be giving away books today. I got to be very careful here. I know some of you guys are overseas, and some of you guys are like way overseas, So there is a chance that we may have winners that I cannot get books to, or I cannot get books to for less than $400. And I love you, but not that much. So we will work with you. Whatever we need to do to help folks get what they need, we'll work with you. But I can't guarantee that I can get a physical book to all the winners today. We will have multiple winners because I'm going to give away more than one book because I'm the president and I feel like it, by golly. Yes, BG Info, Gino, that is a fun tool. So you guys like my background? Yeah, I like my background too. I may change it just for the heck of it. And Debbie is right. I've got the green screen and all that, and I just haven't had a chance to play with it. I'm just trying to get the ability to go through PowerPoint presentations like we did today is surprisingly challenging, but we got there. All right, Deborah Stouch. Love the background. I'm currently reading A+ Mobile Devices. Love the book. There's so much to remember. By the June 20. Yeah, there is a lot, and there should be. I mean, let's face it. Nerds like me have desktops, but I run into lots of people who do not own desktop computers anymore. In fact, I run into a lot of people who don't own laptops anymore, that they lean exclusively on their phone for all their web browsing. Maybe they have a tablet, and so knowing your iOS and your Android are good. What I'm really glad is do you guys know that the previous version of A+ had Windows, what was it called? The Windows smartphone, which was actually a wonderful operating system. I mean, any of you guys who had to suffer through Windows 8 or 8.1 with that Metro desktop or whatever they called it, it never really made sense on a desktop. But the moment you put it on a phone, it was like, I got this. If my little brother Len's still on here, Len was a huge fan of the Windows smartphone operating system. Somebody remind me what the thing's called, I forget. Digital Pegasus. Been taking the A+ course on Udemy just for my own fun. I understand. But you make the course fun to watch, and I get some good laughs here and there. I thought you'd do a decent Sean Connery impression. One ping only. I like Sean Connery. Hunt for Red October. Come on, great movie. See, I'm convinced that the greatest thing I can do for the younger generation is give you a list of the 100 movies you never heard of that you really need to watch. I am shocked at the number of you under 30s, under 35s, who've never heard of a movie called Lawrence of Arabia. I mean, Peter O'Toole's greatest movie, for crying out loud. How about The 7-Ups, a great cop flick, great movie. The In-Laws, the original In-Laws with Alan Arkin. I mean, great movies. I need to make a list for you guys and just say, you need to watch these movies. John Wayne movies, come on. Donovan's Reef with John Wayne and Lee Marvin. You guys haven't seen that movie? Well, I'll tell you, Pilgrim, you haven't seen John Wayne. Tell you, I've seen him in Donovan's Reef. Okay, maybe I do a better Sean Connery than a John Wayne. One ping only. That's it, Pegasus. You got it. Zone for Shonen. Zone for Shonen? He's clapping. Ah, yay, clapping. Andrew Hutz, how long? I'm waiting. Oh, you've got a conversation going on with Scott Jernigan there. Okay. It's 2:40 already. Yes. Yeah, so, okay. So the voucher prices, let me pull this up so I can get this right for you guys. First you take the cattle to the killing floor. No Parks and Recreation fans? Come on, I am Ron Swanson. Okay, so number one, so when you take a CompTIA exam, at some point when you're on the Pearson VUE site, you have to hand them a credit card, okay? And if you will pay full price for the test. So let's go ahead and just stick with A+ right now, okay? So right now, full price for a CompTIA exam is, and this is just one A+, you got to do this twice, is 226 smackers, which is a lot of money. It's kind of expensive, but hey, they're a nonprofit, right? So you're going to be paying around $450 to just try to pass your A+. That's spendy. So what we're trying to do is get discount vouchers. So a discount voucher is something, Total Seminars sells these, other people sell them. I think we have the best deal out there. So you go to the Total Seminar site and you buy a discount voucher. It's going to knock the price down by about 10%. We get virtually no profit on this, guys. I mean, like nothing. So anyway, you buy a voucher from us. So like a voucher right now would be, full price voucher would be like $209, as opposed to 226. I say 10%, a little less than 10%. Anyway, so you get this voucher from us, and then we send you. It's not a physical voucher. We'll send you a paper voucher if you want one, but it's the number, that little code. So when you're paying for the exam, and it says enter your credit card, say, well, no, I got a voucher, and it says enter the voucher number, bleep, 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 hit enter, boom, it's paid for. Get the idea? Okay. So Total Seminars is knocking the price down a little bit more. So now we got it down to $204. So that's another $5 off, which is, full 10% off. It's a good deal. It gets you under $400, which I think is a good deal. And I think it's well worth it. And so we're going to be running that for, I guess Scott put it up there. Not sure how long we're running that till. I was going to say April 15th, but it's April 17th. So we're still running, I think April 30th is what we'll be running it to. So, and these vouchers, there's an A+ voucher and that, plus you got to get one for the test you're going for, but they last a year. So even if you're like, it might be a while before I actually schedule the exam, you ought to consider buying them while you can get them. So Debbie uses my A+ book, PC Pro Test Out Lab Sim. They're all right. Cengage. If you're using Cengage, then you're working with my competitor. The only real competitor I feel I have, Dr. Jean Andrews, who's actually a wonderful lady and gives to charitable organizations. And she has like children's homes in South America. And she's just the nicest lady you ever met. And she writes some good books. I don't think she's at all technical. And she's really more of an academic instructor as opposed to a nerd like me. So you get more overview. I don't think she goes to the level of depth that I think most nerds want, but she's fine books. And a few months ago they announced that McGraw-Hill and Cengage are merging. That's going to be fun. So yeah, we're going to be working for the same company. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work either. Still hasn't gone through, so we'll see what happens. Alessa Barb, is Barbie. What is a thread exactly? And what is the difference between a thread and a process and a command and an instruction? How much time we got? We can do this. Okay. Alessa, this is just for you. The whole idea of having a computer is that we have these things called programs. Programs are a series of machine language instructions. You may write the program in a programming language, but then it's compiled and put into the actual machine language that your CPU can understand, right? So when you double click on Microsoft Word, you have a classic Microsoft Word installed on your system. The programs that collectively make Microsoft Word are sitting on your hard drive. So when you double click on that Word icon, you're bringing up a little bit of the program to get Word up and running, okay? In no means is all of Word running at the same time, but there's enough to get the interface up there and your ribbon bar and the cursor and a little white page and margins and stuff like that, okay? The moment you move some of that code off of the hard drive and you put it into RAM, those pieces of code are now collectively known as a process. So the process is working as together to make Word go, okay? So once Word is up and running, remember the CPU has the ability to address RAM, and it goes through and addresses the RAM and runs Word and dear mom, how are you? I'm fine, love Alessa, whatever it might be. But as the actual process moves from RAM into the CPU itself, all CPUs use pipelines. I do a big thing on this in A+, which I'm really kind of proud of. My whole man in box thing I think it's kind of cool. So the processes break down into threads. A thread is the smallest amount of code that your CPU can run through a single pipeline. And keep in mind that today's modern processors have many, many pipelines. And so the thread is what's running through each individual pipeline to get the job done, to make Word do what it's supposed to do. So that's a thread. Okay. What else did you ask there? So that's a thread and a process. So threads live on CPUs, processes live in RAM, programs live on hard drives. A command, okay, so an instruction is something to get the CPU to do something. So a thread can be a series of instructions that can run as a group through one pipeline at a time. And a command, I wouldn't use the word command in this particular way here. To me, a command is something that I'm going to open up a command line and type something in. I'm going to type CMD or dir/W or something like that. I wouldn't use the word command here, Elisa. I don't think that makes sense. Okay. Zone for shown and need some CCNA books. Oh, sorry, man, no tengo. We don't do CCNA. Tolowit, I think it's a great idea if you assign us homework. I'm not going to do that, man. This isn't Ask Me Anything, so I'm going to keep it simple at this point. This thing's becoming more and more complicated as we go, which is fine, and I'm fun with that. To move it more into a study group thing, my time is a little tricky for stuff like that. It's because of the coronas that I'm having a little bit more time than I normally would. I'm not saying no to anything, but I'm going to have to think about that. Tia, so you did mean privacy. Cortana, thank you, Professor Craig. I can never, Cortana. Oops. Isn't it funny? You say Cortana around here, nothing happens. Moscow, hey Mike, I'm almost done with both your A+ courses from Uni. Is that all I need to pass the A+? Testing is done. Is it only online now? Okay. Are the Udemy videos all you need? I feel that well studied that the Udemy videos are all one needs. However, I wouldn't do it that way. And I'm not just trying to sell you more stuff, dude, or dudette. But it's because I know the type of learner I am. I'm a reader. I like to read. And so I like books. It's part of the reason I got into writing books is because I wanted books that I like to read. Seriously. So to me, especially if you're using Udemy or the Lynda videos, you're looking at videos that are tuned to my books. So you'd find that there's an easy jump back and forth between the videos and the books. I like the videos for instruction, conceptualization. I don't like the videos for memorization. I put tables in there to help you memorize, and you can pause and stuff like that. But to me, if I'm going to have to be looking at tables and memorizing port numbers or socket types or whatever it might be, I like a paper book. That's me. I have ebooks too, which are identical to the paper books. So I want a book. And then the other thing, cha-ching, look at me spending your money like I'm a crazy man. And that is, I want practice questions. You got to have practice questions. Honestly, if there was only one thing that one would purchase, it would be practice questions. Lots of people sell practice questions. We sell here at Total Seminars. And remember, just because you're online today, you can get those practice questions for 50% off just by going to the link under below and using the code, I think it's Live something, it's showing up right there. But the other thing you got to remember is that practice questions are, you should get at least 2 different people's practice questions. Transcender is usually the one. They are a direct competitor of mine, but Robin Abernathy is the lady who writes those questions, and she does a great job, and I can't recommend her enough. So you get 2 different sets, because you'll get locked in on one person's practice questions, and you'll think, well, that's the test. Well, it's not. I do not copy CompTIA questions, okay? Because they would be very, very upset if I did. But I get really close, and then so does Robin Abernathy, and then so you can use those as compare and contrast. So that's how I would do it. I know zillions of people who have passed just by watching videos, but man, even if you don't want to get a book, get practice questions. Terrence Tech, what is the best way to streamline Win 10 for computers with less RAM and HDD space to optimize performance? Man, Terrence, that's a big question, dude. You know, there's a lot of tricks that people talk about, reducing your swap files and stuff like that. But to be honest, I haven't really found anything that does that great of a job. You make the computer for Windows 10. You don't make Windows 10 for the computer. I wouldn't say the same thing about Linux, but Windows 10 is very monolithic in terms of how it runs. It's not like you can yank out pieces like you can with a Linux system. And the few things I've heard about tightening, in my opinion, don't do much. So, get a system that can handle it. Were you the one who was asking about 32-bit? Because I could see where that might come into play. I mean, 32-bit certainly has a much smaller footprint than 64-bit Windows. No, testing is not only online, Moscow. You still have the classic, go to the View Testing Center and all that there. A lot of schools have their own testing centers at the school themselves. If you're a school and you're not doing that, I can show you how to do that. This online just started 2 days ago, okay? And we're still learning about it. And it is not online only. I think lots of people are going to be very interested in still going to a testing center. With the virus and all that, it's good timing, so people can still test. But no, it's not online only at all. Hodiyoma. What is the difference? How are we doing? 250? I think I can squeeze this in. All right. Hodiyoma, please answer. What is the difference between simulation, emulation, and virtualization? Okay, let's take virtualization out of there because that's kind of a different animal. And let's start with simulation and emulation. So oh no, actually we'll keep virtualization in there. We could do that. So what we're talking about is we're trying to run code on a system that has a CPU in it, okay? Now, if I run if I run a virtualized system, so I got a hypervisor like Oracle's Virtual PC or something like that, VirtualBox, and I have a virtual machine in there, anything that I'm running because of virtualization cannot pretend to be anything that the hardware isn't. Get the idea? It cannot be a different kind of RAM. It cannot be a different type of CPU. It can't have things that the actual hardware doesn't have. So that would, I guess, virtualization. Emulation means like I'm running an old N64 program on a Windows computer. So an emulator will pretend to be a completely different platform. And it's a different animal altogether. And then a simulation, I guess that's kind of the weird one out here. So simulation doesn't really fit in here, in my opinion. To me, a simulation is I'm pretending to be something that doesn't exist. So whereas a emulator is something that will act, bark, smell, and taste like this thing that doesn't exist, a simulation will often ignore lots of stuff and just not have those functions, just so you get enough of the taste of what it might be so that you can get an idea of what that thing is. I'm not 100% thrilled with that, but I feel that I'm accurate. All right, we've got just a few more minutes and we're going to start. You guys are talking to each other. Oh my goodness. Mark Joan, every 3 years, Scott's got all this covered. What VM software is most commonly used in business? I would say right now it's a close call between VMware and Azure. But you really need to look at Oracle VirtualBox to learn about hypervisors. It's free and it's a very, very powerful tool. What happened to your courses on Lynda and CBT? Lynda had a different Security Plus course. They didn't want to use mine. That's their call. So stuff like that tends to happen. If they, Udemy takes everything, but Lynda's very, very careful, and they want to present their tools in a more, I don't want to say more professional, in a less cacophony way. How does that sound than Udemy? Keep in mind, Lynda and Udemy are, in my opinion, very different things. Lynda is more of a almost a business-to-business type situation, corporate retraining, stuff like that. Udemy is like the Nintendo Wii of video learning. Okay, so what I want to do here is we just got a couple of minutes, so let's start giving things away. All right, so I'm going to give away a Network Plus book and a Security Plus book. How does that sound? So in order to do this, we're about to have a competition. Are you guys ready? Where's my pen when I need it? Scott Jernigan. Scott Jernigan, read what I'm typing to you privately. Okay. So, today's competition, or today's drawing, it's not really a competition, it's guessing. The raffle is you have to guess my birth date, all right? And that includes the year. So, what I need you guys to do, and I need you to type it in like, month / day / 4-letter year. I'll give you a clue. The year of my birth starts with a 1. Got it? Okay. So in order to do this competition, what I need people to do, starting right now, is I need you guys to start typing in what do you think my birthday is, including the year. Then I'm going to pick 2 winners this time. And no, Leo, my birthday is not rolling on the floor laughing. Geez, oh, wow. Okay. Digital Pegasus 52, bite me. Sarah Baum 69, I love you. So remember, I'm going to pick the 2 closest. I'm Grady Dry. 10th of March, 51. I'm younger than that. Yeah, I'm definitely too old. No, it's all good. I'm just going to let people keep typing. Grown man, you've got to type in a month and a day. Hoi vey. Okay, nobody, no doubles here, guys. Okay, hurry up. It's 3 o'clock. We got to finish this. All right, Scott Jernigan. Okay. Moscow, I live in Houston. Okay, brother. All right, here we go. Actually, this is going to be pretty easy. Stop, 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 stop. That's it. All right, hang on. So it looks like Andrew Hutz just about nailed it. My birthday is September 1st, 1961. So let me double check. All right, so what we're going to do here, Andrew, you can either pick a Net Plus or a Security Plus book, okay? And you're going to have to contact Kathy Yale, and Scott Jernigan will type in her address. No, the bidding is now closed. Hang on, who's the second winner? Diego's kind of close. Hold on, I got to do this. So that would be, so Yasmin Patel. Oh God, Yasmin, do you live in India? I'm going to have a hard time getting a book to you, but I'll try. Yeah? All right, so I declare the winners to be Andrew Hutz and Yasmin Patel. Yay! So I'm going to let you guys choose either a Network Plus or a Security Plus book. And I'll even try to get them signed. Either that or we're going to ship them through Amazon. Yasmin, you're going to have to tell me where you live, amigo. Oh, Digital Pegasus. Yeah, well, you can guess my weight. No, don't do that. Had a bad week this week. Okay, so Diego and Yasmin, you're the winners. Congratulations on you guys each get a Mike Meyers either Network Plus or Security Plus book. Absolutely, written by Mike Meyers, popular author, and in Security Plus case, also by Scott Jernigan, nice guy. So anyway, so that's it. All right, so guys, again, congratulations to the winner. Keep in mind that next Monday we're going to be talking about anti-malware. I'm going to be concentrating on desktop and laptops. We'll have to talk a little bit about anti-malware on smart devices, mainly because it's kind of boring. I haven't really found anything that impressed me that much, but I'll talk about what my discoveries are. And so be ready on Monday to talk about anti-malware. And that'll be at 2 o'clock Central Daylight Time, right here on YouTube, Total Seminars channel. So until then, kids, have fun, have a great weekend, stay safe, and I'll see you later.